and Fulton coming to you on a regular old-fashioned Wednesday. The Royals are joining the 2005 and the 87 Royals to not have a 3-game winning streak before the month of June. It has happened now 3 times in Royals franchise history, most recently the year they lost the most games in franchise history at 106. So the Kansas City Royals didn't get the job done. To not the fault of one Zach Greinke. We will talk a little Zach Greinke coming up here in just a little bit. We will get to some college football news. A lot of news happening right now in the college football world. Holy smokes. Colorado coming back to the Big 12. NIL getting out of hand. Moving to the NFL model. All sorts of stuff being thrown around right now in the college landscape of things, at least football-wise. So, lots to discuss when it comes to the college football world. We'll get into some Chiefs topics. Bill Barnwell of ESPN has one position that the Chiefs need to add to it, and it's not the position that you think. We will get to that. We got another edition of You Did What? Umpire edition. We'll get Fulton fired up when it comes to a specific umpire who decided to say it with his chest. We'll get to that. Fulton's already shaking his head. He's already mad.
Me and umpires are on not good terms right now. Me and umpires as a whole, we're not getting along.
So lots to discuss today on this edition of Mic'd Up. As always, let us know your thoughts. Hit us up on our text line, 785-272-9429. On the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits phone line. Same phone number, 785-272-9429. It's like our landline can get text messages, you know? That's basically what this is.
21st century, man.
It's a landline that can get text messages. It works out beautifully. Hit us up on our YouTube page. You can go to our website as well, 580wibw.com. Let us know the comments in our YouTube stream. You can go to all of our previous shows on our YouTube page. Very simple, very easy. The Royals lost last night, though. Fulton, I'm going to ask you this question.
Yeah.
How many games did it take last year's team to win 3 in a row?
Oh, they did it by the end of April? I don't know how many games that'd be, like 20-some.
They won 3 in a row last year in April.
Yeah, I knew their April wasn't horrible.
They did it in games 8, 9, and 10. You got to remember.
Oh, yeah. They took 2 from Detroit and then beat Minnesota? Or reverse? 2 from Minnesota that beat Detroit.
Yeah. They were 5-6 after, or beg your pardon, they were 5-5 after 10 games last year.
Everything was looking up.
They got their first 3-game winning streak in 10 games. The Kansas City Royals are still searching for their first 3-game winning streak this year. And the Kansas City Royals have played 56 games and don't have a 3-game winning streak. Now, they've had 5
chances.
5 2-game winning streaks. And they had one in April.
When they beat the Giants in 2 games.
8 and 9, but then couldn't sweep the Giants. They lost 3-1. So the Royals right now are no longer Fetty Wap. They are 17-39. So that
far
is
less fun.
Not as much fun. So not great going into June 1st.
No, 22 games under 500 is not a great spot to be in going into June 1st. It's bad. Like, there is no way to sugarcoat it. is bad. They've won 17 games.
That's real bad. What's worse, that they're 22 games under 500 or haven't been able to swing together 72 hours of winning baseball?
Honestly,
because they kind of go hand in hand.
Well,
but
they kind of do. But honestly, I go not being able to win 3 in a row because like winning games is hard. Like I want to make that so abundantly clear.
So that's worse?
It is for me.
Okay.
Because and I look at it in the context of the situation. Look at these chances they've had in the month of May to win 3 in a row. That's where we need to sit. Because in April, it was one thing. Like April, their only chance was after the Giants series.
Mm-hmm.
And they played well, but sweeping a team is hard. You know, sweeping a team is not necessarily easy. But like when you beat Oakland and then beat Chicago in that little stretch, you should have won that second game against Chicago when you lost 4-2. You should have done it, but you faltered. You won the next 2 games, which was awesome, but you should have done it. But then to you that you win the last 2 against Chicago, then all you have to do is win the series opener against the Brewers. Yeah, you faced Corbin Burns in that game, and you threw an opener, but the opener did their job. Like, Josh Taylor did his job. His defense did him no favors. Max Castillo did his job. His defense did him no favors. So that's frustrating. You beat the Padres. The one most annoying is the Padres one. You beat the Padres for 2, and you go face a White Sox team that just a week ago, you beat the snot out of 3-4, and you lose 2-0. Like, even this last one, like a 2-game series is winnable, and you lost 2-1.
Yeah.
So it's just, if we're talking
that's real bad,
if we're talking in a vacuum across all of baseball, which one's worse? Not being able to win 3 in a row it really depends on context, because sometimes sweeps are hard, but 3 in a row, they're like you beat a team for 2 and then you win a series opener. That's not impossible. Like, you could have a 3-game winning streak in the span where you win a series and lose a series.
They
so
went
it's just
56 games without winning 3 in a row.
And to me, the context of it is what's so frustrating, because the last 3 times they've had a shot to do it, the 3rd game has been utterly maddening.
Yeah.
That they have found a way to lose.
Alrighty. The A's. How many games in a row have the A's won? What's their best winning streak?
Oh. Is it 2?
It's 2.
It's when they beat the Royals back-to-back.
And
it should be the only time they've done it.
No.
Oh, who else have they beaten back-to-back?
If they win today, they would sweep Atlanta. They have beaten
Excuse
Atlanta.
me, sir?
They have beaten Atlanta.
I've been that out of tune to what's happening.
7-2 Monday, won 2-1 yesterday. They had up until last night, they had only won 2 in a row once against the Royals.
I want to make something very clear.
And now they have a chance to beat Atlanta.
I want to make something so incredibly clear. I know I've always said anyone, like, that's proof anyone can beat anyone in a 3-game set. The Braves are not worse than the Athletics. The Braves are just having a bad series. That being said, if the A's sweep the Braves, they need to be disbanded immediately.
Who? The A's or
the Braves? Everyone fired. Everyone got rid of. Ronald Acuna Jr. needs to go play somewhere else. Go.
Do you remember when he almost became a Royal?
Don't remind me.
It's Alcides Escobar's cousin.
Don't remind me. It still hurts to this day.
A whopping 5,000 people showed up to watch that.
They deserve to be relegated if the Braves get swept by the A's. And I say this with the full context of anyone can beat anyone in a 3-game set. The Braves are infinitely better than Oakland. Oakland just is catching them in a good time and has put together a couple good games. That all being said, much like I told the Royals, losing 2 of 3 is bad enough. You cannot get swept by Oakland. You can't.
They play today at 3:30.
I'm going to watch that so intently now.
No chance.
I got no other baseball to watch.
Yeah, I know the Royals are off for 48 straight hours.
Yeah, this is going to be weird, man. This is going to feel so weird. Like, as someone who during this time of year spends all of his waking time just watching baseball, my team not playing for back-to-back days, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself.
Well, we got the Summer of Fulton.
We do. I'll probably just knock something out for that with the next 2 days. I got nothing better to do.
We got the Summer of Fulton. We will get to that coming up in the 1 o'clock hour today. The Summer of Fulton is here, and it should be fun. We will chat with Fulton on his latest checklist that he is going to do to broaden his horizons. And I have done something that you suggested I do. So I can give you a little recap on that as well. So we will get to that. But the Royals did fail to win 3 games in a row.
It's so annoying.
Are the Royals better than last year? Are they a better team than last year?
I don't know. And I'm not trying to cop it out with that. And I know everyone's going to point to, well, last year's team won more games. Yeah,
but first of all, hold on. I'm not talking about.
I know
the records and all that. I
know what you are talking about. This is a general way of working through the process here, because last year's teams won more games.
What was the Royals' record through how many games?
We're through 56.
Through 56. What was the Royals' record last year?
Oh,
through
56 games.
56 games.
Let's go like 20. What would that be? 23 and 33. I don't know. I doubt it was that because they got real bad at one point. But I'll lock in 23 and 33.
The Royals, after Thursday, June 9th, remember.
We had a delayed start because lockout.
19 and 37.
Okay, so 2 wins better.
Yeah.
Never mind. Actually, that makes me feel better about not being able to decide. I would honestly, and I know this at this point, to all of you, is me beating a dead horse. I feel like this team is better collectively. Like, the offense on this team is infinitely better than that one because there's just better players. Like, the everyday 9 you're consistently seeing on this team is steps and miles ahead of that everyday 9 from last year. The difference is the pitching last year was better. And that is saying something. With how bad the pitching was last year, to say that is better than what you're seeing this year tells you everything you need to know. And then the others, I think, if you could find a way to put these 2 teams against each other, the 2023 Royals are winning that 6 out of 10 times, 7 out of 10 times.
You think?
I really do. Because I think collectively, there's better collective talent. Because the 2022 Royals were buoyed, not often, but they were relying on a lot more veteran players who were not great. Whit Merrifield playing every day. Carlos Santana was bad at that point, but playing every day. Hunter Dozier playing. Guys I'm quite literally probably forget. Michael A. Taylor, playing a bunch. Those were veterans who are playing fine for the most part outside of Carlos Santana, though I think the end of May is when his hot streak started kicking in. So it kind of matters here.
He played in 52 games, by the way.
Yeah. Because then, by the end of whatever, he was gonzo, which was awesome. But the overall thing here is the younger players the Royals are playing with who are streaky. That's what happened yesterday. The young players got streaky and they went on a weird cold spell for 9 innings. It happens. Those younger players, as a larger unit, are infinitely more talented than those veterans. Infinitely so.
I think last year's team was better, but this year's team is more talented.
Mm-hmm.
They are, as Matt Quatraro says, inexperienced.
Incredibly so.
So that's why I think last year's team is better.
And I think that's fair.
And the reason why I say is better is right now, the outfield does not have an Andrew Benintendi. Andrew Benintendi was an all-star last year. Andrew Benintendi was very good last year. Okay. To be honest with you, Emmanuel Rivera and what Michael Garcia has done, probably roughly the same. Michael A. Taylor versus JBJ. Probably Michael A. Taylor, to be honest with you, at this point in time.
Oh, 100%.
So that's why, and then we know the pitching staff last year was better because they had at least two guys who were very good.
Yeah, you had Brady Singer being competent, and Zach Greinke was good.
And that's what goes.
And this year you have just Zach Greinke.
Yeah. Right now, the Royals.
That's your point.
It just goes to show you last year was such an even worse who gives a care, because you had a veteran team that won 60 games or whatever the heck they won.
Well,
like, who cares?
Why? 65 and 87.
Why 60 games, 65 doesn't matter. Same thing. You were trying to win last year and you ended up like, that's why it was last year was so bad in terms of the start of the season and what the game plan was. That's what's so frustrating about this. It really, really is. But speaking of Zach Greinke, Zach Greinke low-key has been really good. The whole joke he can't pitch on the road.
Oh, buddy, he's debunked that in the month of May, at least.
He's been excellent in the month of May.
Has been awesome.
He's had 6 starts, and the most runs he's given up is 3, and that was only one time. 3 of his 6 starts, he's allowed 0 or 1 run in his. So 3 of his 6 starts, and then the other 2. So 5 of his 6 starts are allowing 2 runs or less. 3 of his 6 starts are 1 run or less.
And his ERA in the month of May was 2.30.
Yeah, that's been excellent.
He looked great, and he did that with half and half. 3 road starts, 3 home starts.
No, he's been good. Zach Greinke kept him in the game yesterday. What stunk yesterday. And this is all part of this is the reason why I'm not like bummed about the game last night. I'm not. In fact, what happened last night is a great learning process. You're down 2-0. You get a double by Vinny. Awesome. A single by Sal. Sweet. Runners at first and third. You pinch run Sal. Smart situation there. Got no problem there. Bobby Wood Jr.'s up to bat. I mean, your next 3 guys are all 3 future guys. Bobby Witt, Melendez, and Massey. Bobby gets a run. Okay.
Yeah, finds a way.
Fielder's choice. So now there's just 1 out and a runner at first. Okay. Melendez is up. These are good pressure-packed at bats. Like, these
it's
matter.
Learning moments.
Exactly. That's why
they're
they lost yesterday. Who, green jacket, gold jacket, who cares? Melendez flied out to left. That's a bummer. And then Massey struck out. So the good part about that is that, Hunter Dozier didn't take these at bats. Jackie Bradley Jr.'s not taking these at bats.
No, it was 3 pieces for the future that were tasked with driving in big runs.
Yep. And
so they can learn.
They didn't do it. And the Royals now have to kind of just sit and stew for 48 hours.
They can vibe for 40 hours, and they get Wolken the Colorado Rockies to town.
There we go. Coming up next, we're going to talk with Dan Wolken, USA Today football and basketball columnist on the college scene, to get the kind of a little lay of the land. That's all coming up here on Mic'd Up. that you did what? Would you like to talk about Jerry Lane or shall I?
I'll let you lead it off and I'll add in my anger later.
So Jerry Lane is an umpire for the MLB, and there was it was a ball, but he called it a strike. It was not like crazy egregious, but it was a ball. He called it a strike, and the batter, forget the batter's name, said something to Jerry Lane, and then Jerry Lane, who was behind the catcher, actually got out, stood up, and then chested up the batter. Like he went and had to take what? He had to at least taken 4 or 5 steps to get there. And then did the whole almost like, chest up and bump him and talk to him. And the Astros manager started yelling and screaming at Jerry Lane. The aggressor in this situation.
No.
You are not there to be the keeper of the game, especially at the major league level. If the player has something, they step to you. You should never chest up some umpire and say, the umpire getting in the face of a player. It's not how that should work.
No, and Jerry Lane is a joke. Major league umpires are a joke, and I want the robots here sooner than ever. I said this while you were gone on Friday. The strike zone is the strike zone. We need to stop pretending it's malleable. It's written in the rule books. Stop giving them a pass for doing something wrong.
I got no problem. I got no arguments there.
I'm just so done with this, man. I'm so done with umpires. They're so bad at their jobs with no accountability.
Coming up next, we'll talk a little college football with Dan Wolken. a position that the Chiefs might be more interested in signing a veteran. Also, some news just dropping here during the commercial break. Kansas transfer Ernest Uday committing to TCU. So Jamie Dixon gets the KU big man. So that means Ernest Uday will be facing his former team and maybe 2, even 3 times next year. Interesting.
I really like that for Ernest.
Yeah, he'll start right away.
I want him to play bad 2 or 3 times a year.
Yep.
But that is a really good spot for him. I think he can thrive at TCU.
So that's big news coming from the transfer portal. And speaking of the transfer portal and all things college, boy, there's a lot going on right now in the college world. And to talk all things college athletics, because there's so much to get to, and I'm interested to know where Dan Wolken decides to go with his biggest issue. We go to the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits phone lines and bring in national columnist for USA Today. He's been covering the college football and college basketball world for a long time. He is Dan Wolken. Dan, how are you doing today on this Wednesday?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
What is the biggest issue right now in college athletics? NIL? Is it TV contracts? Is it realignment? Is it scheduling? What is it in your mind?
Well, I think the biggest issue is just kind of what the NCAA, what these big schools are going to do if they don't get the kind of congressional protections that they're seeking. And to me, this is sort of the more existential issue hanging over everything. They're trying to go to Congress to essentially get some type of limits or caps on NIL to try to get some antitrust protections from being sued, because pretty much everything right now is a lawsuit against the NCAA. But it's hard to get anything through Congress, really, especially something this complicated. There's a lot of people on both sides of the aisle who want very specific things, and it may be difficult for them to come to an agreement. It's certainly not at the front burner of the things Congress is dealing with. I've always said the NCAA needs to try to figure out their own problems here and try to make their own rules and enforce their own rules. But this congressional play, it hadn't really yielded a whole lot. It's been going on for 3-4 years, and they keep trying to get a bill to the floor. Nothing's happened. But where's it all going to end, and what's the ultimate system going to look like? I mean, I think that's clearly the biggest issue that's going on right now.
If the powers that be, the Mark Emmerts and the presidents and the commissioners and all of that, had the foresight to know that NIL was going to happen, but they stuck their head in the sand and they just didn't want to believe it. They didn't want to change. Let's say, in 2019, they were like, yep, you're right, NIL is going to happen, so we are going to make universal rules. We're actually going to get all on the same page, and we're going to make all these rules. And they actually did that. Would we be in the same situation we are right now?
Well, I don't know that we'd be in the same situation, but certainly if that's the way the thing had unfolded, I do think they would have probably gotten sued for that as well. Because, first of all, we're just in a different type of environment right now. There are people, these high-powered law firms see a lot of vulnerability. They have all kinds of former student athletes or even current student athletes who are willing to be plaintiffs in some of these lawsuits. So I'm not sure that would change, but it certainly would have been maybe a little bit more organized in terms of the rollout. People would have had a better, clearer sense of what is and what isn't within the boundaries. Those kinds of things, it might have been a little bit less chaotic, but certainly the NCAA just kind of decided to let it roll how it was going to roll, because they were getting all this pressure from different state legislatures. And look, at the end of the day, yeah, there have been some things that caused headaches, but I don't think that this is some big crisis. I think this is pretty much going about the way most people thought it was going to go. It's a little bit messy, and there's certain things anomalies that are a little bit strange, but ultimately this is all kind of about, it's the market is sort of going to figure itself out here eventually, and we'll see what happens.
how come it seems like in every other aspect of our country, getting what you are worth is okay, but not for college athletes? Why is that? Because even Eli Drinkwitz, mentioned yesterday, which, by the way, we talked about this yesterday as well, his comments. He was asked about sports gambling and he went on a rant about NIL. I don't understand why he went that direction, but why is it that, it's not okay for Joe athlete at, KU, K-State, Alabama to make some money? That's not okay, but it's okay for anybody else in this entire country to do so. Why do people pick college athletes?
Well, that's a really complicated question, but I think it essentially comes down to things had operated a certain way for decades and decades, and the way it had operated worked very much to the benefit of these schools to be able to make tons of money without having to pay the players. So the money that they've made, and it's grown exponentially over time, it goes to things like the salaries of administrators, the staffs get bigger, the locker room gets its 10th renovation and redesign, or they build new buildings. All these different things that they pour money into, because as nonprofit entities, they sort of have to spend what comes in. And so it's more just about the people in charge have never really wanted to disrupt that model because it's worked so well for them.
We're talking with Dan Wolken, covers the college football and college basketball world as a national columnist for USA Today. All right, if you are in charge of the Big 12, Dan, what are you doing? Are you staying put at the 12 teams once OU and Texas leave? There's a lot of rumors being floated around that Colorado is interested in joining the Big 12. What would you do if you were in charge of the Big 12?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think certainly they have to figure out if there's going to be any legitimate interest from those Pac-12 schools who are waiting to see what their media deal is. If the Big 12 is able to collect some of those Pac schools, then that certainly could make sense for them. But look, I think the Big 12 right now is kind of solidified its place. It seems very stable. I don't think any of the schools who are currently in the Pac-12 are going to be on the short list anytime soon to go to the SEC or to go to the Big Ten. So that in itself gives you kind of a measure of stability, at least for a little while. They could add teams if they want. I know Brett Yormark's had all of these ideas or floated things out about, could we get Gonzaga to hype up basketball? I don't know, to me, if that's a great idea, but they've talked about, do they go back into the well of AAC teams and get Memphis and South Florida or whoever it is? It does seem like they're determined to get bigger. I don't know if they need to, but Brett Yormark is a lot more aware than I am of what the numbers are and what the numbers could be in these different scenarios. That's why he gets paid the big bucks to try to make those decisions for the best interest of that conference.
The ACC has made some noise here last week. You got the 7 that are reported want to leave, and then 7 that don't. Is there any truth to if there are more than half the teams, then the grant of rights goes away? Is there any truth to that at all? Because people are talking about, if more of them want to do that, then they can leave and go somewhere else. But it doesn't matter how many teams want to leave the conference. It's still going to end up staying with the grant of rights that was signed.
Well, look, I don't know exactly what the mechanisms specifically would be to dissolve the ACC. I think that is fundamentally that's kind of the last resort, the nuclear option, so to speak. I don't know if it's feasible or not. The general public, we can't look at that grant of rights. We've never seen it. It in fact physically never even leaves the ACC office. I mean, it's really kind of hidden. It's hidden away from public view. No, I'm not kidding.
That's wild.
I'm being serious. It's basically because they don't want it to be subject to any sort of freedom of information laws. So it never goes out on email. It doesn't go to the schools. If people want it, they have to go literally to the ACC office to view it. That's the way they've protected that from public scrutiny over the years. And so I don't know exactly what it would take, but it makes sense to me that if, whether it's 8 or 9 or, 2/3 or whatever it is, there has to be a way to dissolve the conference. But you also have to if that's the route you're going to go, you have to know what the backup plan is. You have to know what the next option is. And I think that's the hardest part for them right now is figuring out, all right, if they do that, where do they go and what are they going to make? And I don't think those things are real simple.
Is there a reason why the powers that be don't have the SEC playing 9 conference games when they're going to have 14 teams in their conference, or 16 teams, beg your pardon, in their conference? Why won't they go 9 games? Why is that such a big talking point?
For all of these SEC teams, sometimes when it gets to issues like this, it's very much all politics is local, and it has to do with the number of home games people are going to play, the number of non-conference games they're going to play. If they go to 9, how does that change the scheduling balance in terms of is it how much harder is it to get to bowls and that kind of thing? Everybody is going to have a different viewpoint on that. And, some of it's going to depend on, are you at Mississippi State or are you at Alabama? And there's a vast difference in the way those two schools are going to approach some of those things. And the SEC is kind of stratified. You've got, a certain number of teams at the top, your Alabamas, your Georgias. Then you've got a few in the middle, and then you've got some at the bottom. And it's not always easy to make sure they all come together.
All righty, my last 2 questions for you, 2 for the road. I know you're a big tennis guy, so I'm going to ask you 2 tennis questions here. Who is the greatest men's tennis player in U.S. history?
In the history of the United States?
Yes. Who's the best U.S. men's? I don't want to say best player because that would be Serena. She's the best tennis player coming from the United States. Yeah. But on the men's side, who is it?
I think you probably have to go with Pete Sampras because he has the most Grand Slam titles of any American player. I think he has 14, which at one point was considered kind of almost untouchable. I mean, he's got a lot more than Jimmy Connors, John McEnroe. I think those guys have like 7 or 8. So, now he's been blown by, and in some ways, I think history has maybe sort of not treated him as well as it should in terms of just people remembering him. But he was a pretty amazing player, and I do think he's certainly the most accomplished American men's tennis player we've ever had.
Alrighty, and then overall tennis on the men's side, because I think that's the easy question on the women's side. So the men's side overall, are you a Nadal or are you a Djokovic or are you a Federer best player of all time?
Well, I think there's things that all 3 bring to the table that could make the case. I think clearly when it's all said and done, Djokovic is going to have the best argument from a numbers and statistics standpoint. He's going to have the most Grand Slams. He's going to have the most Masters titles. He's going to have, maybe the most tournament titles ever. So he's going to have a lot of those numbers. I think Federer's impact on the game overall was bigger. I think in terms of just the way people are drawn to him, the inspiration he was. The one thing about tennis that's interesting is sometimes it's all about building on each other. And Federer came first, and then he set the bar that Nadal had to chase, and then Djokovic came after him, and he had something to chase down. So sometimes it's better in tennis to be the guy chasing rather than the guy who set the standard from ahead. So I don't know. I mean, Djokovic on all surfaces, winning the double Grand Slam, which Federer didn't do. He only won the French once. He certainly, I think he certainly got the statistical numbers, but people are going to have their own opinion on it. That's kind of what makes it neat.
Yeah, no question. Dan, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your week and keep up the good work on the coverage of the college world. I appreciate it.
Okay, guys. Thanks.
Dan Wolken, USA Today national columnist for college football and college basketball. A lot happening in the college world right now. Mac Brown even said today that they should just go the NFL route.
I mean, not the worst idea.
I just wish this is what I if I was in charge of everything, I would make football its own entity.
Just let it have its own governing body.
Oh, they operate all by themselves. They have nothing to do with like anything else. Okay. That's what I would do because it is so different. It's so unique. Same thing. And I would say this on the high school side of things. I would operate football different than every other sport. I would make it just its own deal where you can be in one league for basketball and because leagues in high school are just there for scheduling purposes, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Hey, how can we all get together to make it easy for scheduling, easy for travel?
Yeah.
That is why they are for high school sports outside of football. For like basketball, it helps to be in a league because then you've got, hey, we have an 8-team league. You're going to play each other twice. That's 14 of your 20 games that are just boom, knocked out. Then you got 3 games for your midseason tournament. Boom. That's 17 games. You just now have to find 3 games. That's all you need to do. Okay. Soccer, same way. Yeah. Baseball, same way. Tennis meets are a little bit different with tennis, golf, track and field, all that kind of stuff. Wrestling, that type of thing. Yeah. So put football in its own entity. Put football alone because football drives everything. It makes no sense that BYU soccer has to play UCF soccer. It just makes no sense whatsoever. Like that's what's frustrating about that. And that's the reason why here in the city of Topeka, we don't have all the schools playing each other. It's because football. That's why I would have put football in its own entity. Plus, football is different. Football, it's just once a week, and every other game is a home game. Whereas basketball, you play twice a week. A lot more travel. There are times when in football, if you are at a city school, you'd only leave the city, 3 times the entire year. So that's the reason why football needs to be its own entity in high school. And that's it. Figure out football on its own, and that's separate. The college world, put football separate. Some people say, well, you can lump in basketball the same thing. It's not even the same thing. Put football in its own deal. You can be in a different league in football or a different district in football, if you're going to go high school, than what you are in the other aspects of it. That is what I wish they would do. Football is its own monster. Don't lump it in and don't have football drag everything else. Now, well, does football help support all the other sports? Yes, it does. But you're still going to get that money. You're still going to do that. That's still going to be, hey, however much money the Big 12 in football gets, let's say you get, $40 million. You get that. That money's still going to help everything else. Yeah. But the other stuff are going to be so much cheaper to end up being. Every single school in Texas should be in a league in all the, Olympic minor league sports, the soccers, the those type of sports, soccer, softballs, tennis, if you want to throw in baseball, every school in Texas should be in a league. Oklahoma State, Wichita State, Tulsa, KU, K-State, Iowa State, Missouri, Creighton, they should all be in baseball together. They should all be in soccer. They should all be in softball. They should all be in volleyball. Just make it so it's so much easier. It'd save you a lot more money. It would just make it, football needs to be its own thing because it's got its own, legislation and everything when you look at it.
Football essentially is its own ecosystem.
Yes.
Is what it is.
Yes.
And It didn't always used to be this way. And the bigger thing for me is this. The old ways we did things worked back then. Conferences and leagues were based on geography.
Yes.
Because they all serve the purpose of, travel's more difficult. It's harder to go longer distances. The closer we are, the better. 2023 is the year we live in, man. The world is a lot different than when this stuff was conceptualized. So we've moved to a place to where, it made me make sense to separate some things out, or maybe it's not crazy to think of the idea of a team playing one, because we already have conferences that act differently depending on what sports there are. There are schools, depending on what their sport is, play in some different fields or different levels and things like that. So it's not the worst idea. It really isn't. And with the way football is going right now, it's not the worst idea to say, go be your own thing for a little bit.
Yep. Coming up, what's the position that the Chiefs might need a veteran? Interesting take from ESPN Plus. Everyone loves the list. Favorite foods in the summer. Jake and Fulton, thank you so much for stopping by. Jake and Fultoncaster with you. No Royals baseball today. They are off today, and fun fact, they're off tomorrow.
They'll play next on June 2nd.
If they would have won yesterday,
yeah,
they would have played today. They would have tried to find a game, just to make it work, because they would have been on a winning streak. Still hasn't happened. So we've got lots to get to in this 1 o'clock hour. The summer of Fulton continues. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on your latest adventure, my man.
Yeah.
So we will get to that and figure out what you're going to have to do next. That'll be coming up. Everyone loves the list. Today we are going with foods that taste better because it's the summer. Very simple, very easy. As always, let us know your thoughts on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits phone lines. Hit us up on our text line, 785-272-9429. Love to get your take on this Wednesday. We do have some news.
We do.
Some football television dates have been released. Kansas has a few games that have been announced on specific times. Still waiting on their stupid Friday night game. Their Thursday night game. They are going to kick off things on Thursday, August the 31st against the Bears of Missouri State. That'll be a 7 o'clock kickoff on ESPN+. Saturday, September 2nd, Kansas State will be taking on the Red Hawks of Southeast Missouri. Are they still the Red Hawks?
I think.
Either way, they're taking on SEMO.
Yeah, taking on SEMO.
And that'll be on ESPN Plus at 6 o'clock.
Yep. A couple evening kickoffs for KU and K-State to begin the year.
Friday, September 8th. Illinois, Kansas. Don't know that time.
It's going to be a Friday or a Saturday. And let me tell you, if they put that game on a Friday,
they will. Because they wanted it on a Friday, I thought.
I have no idea. But, buddy, if they do that,
I'm going to be upset.
I'm going to be upset. And I think Brendan Dorsinski might actually commit an act of arson at KU.
Thursday games. Fine. Do it. Friday games. Stop it.
Friday is for high school football.
Yes. Stop it.
Stop interfering with it.
Yeah. Saturday, September the 9th. Troy, the Troy Trojans take on Kansas State at 11 a.m. on FS1.
At nice little 11 a.m. kickoff.
Don't know when KU is going to play Illinois. To be determined there.
Nope.
Saturday, September 16th. The Big 8 renews its rivalry. Last year, K-State hammered Missouri.
It was very funny.
Do you remember when Eli Drink was trying to score with 1 second left? Yeah.
Yeah, it was really funny. Because he's a dunce.
K-State at Missouri, 11 a.m. Get ready, folks. Big 12 people are going to hate this. The SEC Network. Great. Now we got to figure out if you get the SEC Network. If you have ESPN Plus, do you get the SEC network?
I don't know. I'd have to look into that. I think there's a chance you do. And then I have to double check this. I believe YouTube TV carries the SEC network because I believe I still get it. So it's not incredibly hard to access. It's just not as easy as basic ESPN.
Yeah.
It is not, Flow Sports level of, you're really hunting and tracking here.
Yeah.
Or even Longhorn network levels of difficulty. It's not that hard, but it is usually a couple extra hoops.
So K-State at Missouri, 11 a.m. So back-to-back. So K-State's non-conference schedule goes 6 o'clock against SEMO, 11 o'clock against Troy, 11 o'clock against Missouri. KU's game on the 16th, they are at Nevada.
Out in Reno.
They take on the Wolfpack. That will be on CBS Sports Network at 9:30.
Staying up late for that one.
So a 7:30
Folks, we're getting
time.
Big 12 after dark with the Jayhawks.
Get used to it. BYU's gonna be out there.
I am so excited. The real sickos can stand up.
All righty. Some other key games of note. Friday, October the 6th. Hate this. It's a Friday. K-State at Oklahoma State. 6:30 kickoff on ESPN. And those are the games involving KU and K-State. I cannot stand Friday games. I cannot stand them.
Okay. Fridays for high school football.
So
stop meddling with this.
Yeah. K-State at Oklahoma State Friday at 6:30 on October the 6th. K-State at Oklahoma State. Is that
what game?
Is that their first Big 12 game? Is Oklahoma State, if I'm not mistaken?
I think.
No, they play UCF on the 23rd.
Okay. I couldn't remember.
But K-State, that's their bye week, is before that. So that's why they're going to play on a Friday at Oklahoma State, 6:30. So that's the schedule for at least KU and K-State when it comes to key games. Big 12 title game will be at 11 o'clock again. A couple, what do you want to call it? Black Friday games, TCU at Oklahoma. Don't care because it's Oklahoma. Texas Tech at Texas. Don't care. It's Texas. So yeah, those are some of the big games. So K-State 6 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and 11 o'clock. KU is Thursday the 31st at 7. Don't know yet against Illinois, and then 9:30 against Nevada on their third game, and then
it will be a late night out in the desert.
Those are some of the.
Speaking of late nights, Jake is correct to get used to it. BYU kicks off the season against Sam Houston. That is a 9:15 Central Time kickoff.
Yeah, BYU after Big 12
so
after dark.
Saturday, September 2nd, if you want to watch a lot of Big 12 football, you can watch Big 12 football from 11 a.m. till probably midnight. First game kicks off Colorado at TCU. No one cares about Oklahoma. And then you go all the way to Sam Houston and BYU. The only Big 12 schools to open up on the road week 1 are West Virginia and Texas Tech. Texas Tech takes on Wyoming at 6:30 on CBS. West Virginia takes on Penn State on NBC. Which is going to just feel weird. That's just going to feel real weird. Watching college football on NBC and it's not involving Notre Dame. It's going to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm interested. There's a lot of with the SEC network, CBS Sports Network. I mean, most people have FS1.
Yeah, it's pretty basic. I mean, the Big 12's been on FS1 for forever. Like an FS1's not that hard. Like if you have Fox, you have FS1. Like if you have the ability, well, cable subscriber to Fox. Let me clarify that. If you're rabbit earring Fox, it's a little different. If you're a cable subscriber, you get FS1. If you have Fox, usually. As a non-cable person, I don't know the intricacies of that situation. Yeah, overall, nothing. Not any announcements not any like game times I, really complain about outside of, I don't want KU and Illinois on a Friday, and I don't like the K-State's on a Friday. But
I'm okay with Thursday games. Thursdays.
Yeah, I'm cool with KU on a Thursday. Thursday's fine.
High school games on Thursdays. I don't mind that.
High school football in the state of Kansas is on Fridays.
Yeah.
Stop putting games on Fridays.
Yeah. From the text line, Texas high school plays football games on Saturdays. Well, I don't give a crap about Texas.
They're their own institution.
Yeah. That sounds like a them problem.
Yeah.
I know that
our complaints are entirely relative to our own experiences in our part of the state.
Yeah. So
like we're caring about our local interest here. Our local interest means high school football is played on Fridays. So stop playing games on Fridays.
Yeah, don't like that. And most places play just on Fridays. Not a lot of Saturday games across the country.
No, and again, Texas high school football is its own weird institution, so let it be its own thing. Those people also would gladly watch high school football over college football, so people in Texas are crazy.
Yeah, they are.
Nuts. I mean that politely. I mean,
we got some Big 12 games week 3. TCU at Houston, week 3.
Okay. That's the week that K-State, Missouri go at it. That's KU and Nevada's week.
Yep.
Wyoming and Texas. Yeah, we only have one. Yeah, is that the only conference game that week, TCU and Houston?
Looks like it.
Yeah, we got the renewing of the backyard brawl that week.
Yeah, that was a wild game last time.
Yeah, I think this year's going to be fun, too. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no...
And then Baylor faces an alcoholic beverage. Baylor plays Long Island.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even know they had a football team.
I didn't either. I don't think they really do.
Didn't know they had a football team.
I don't think they do.
Not going to lie to you. Didn't know that. So
don't know how much football they're playing out there over on Long Island.
No. Hey, we'll stay with this real quick since we're talking Big 12. Yeah. I'm hoping to chat with the National Freshman of the Year in softball today.
She's so good.
And if you don't know who I'm talking about Nigeri Kennedy, the former Topeka High athlete.
Shout out.
Who won the Topeka High Trojans won 2 state titles with Kennedy. And she decided not to play basketball her senior year because she wanted to focus on softball. Turns out that was the right decision.
That was a real good call, Nigel.
So she goes to Stanford.
A powerhouse of a softball program in its own right. So not easy to do the good things.
I wouldn't say powerhouse because they hadn't been to the Women's College World Series in 5 years.
Fair enough.
But all she did was be the best freshman in all of college softball this last year. She was named the National Freshman of the Year. She's been unbelievable pitching for the Cardinal. So good. Leads them to the Women's College World Series. And they play tomorrow at 2:30. Hoping we can find a way to talk with Nigeri sometime today is the hope. And if we can't do it, then maybe we can get in touch with them at some other time. So that's the hope to get her thoughts on everything. Because guess who Stanford plays tomorrow at 2:30?
I don't know what regional they're in.
Well, no, it's Women's College World Series.
Oh yeah. My brain's fried today. I don't know who they play tomorrow.
They play Oklahoma.
Oh, you mean the team on a 48-game winning streak?
Yes.
You mean the team on the longest winning streak in women's college softball history?
Yes. The team that's
That
won
one.
back-to-back Women's College World
The
Series.
team that's 55-1.
Yeah, lost one game. Stanford played Oklahoma game 2 this year. Got run ruled.
Not fun.
Candy didn't pitch. Because why would you throw your freshman against Oklahoma?
Nyjah, second game of the year. You know you're going to go face the juggernaut that is Oklahoma.
Yeah. So
the absolute machine that they are.
So
I have to imagine she's throwing tomorrow.
I would think so. They lost 10-1, but she did not pitch. So they I am going to go with the fact that she will pitch tomorrow at 2:30 is the hope here. And that's going to be incredible. It really will be.
Yeah, it is.
So hopefully we can chat with Nyjah coming up. After this, we'll play that tomorrow for the show leading into their game at 2:30 against Oklahoma.
Just for fun, I wanted to pull up Nyjah's stats here. Her ERA this year, just for fun.
Wait a minute. They say it's 11:30.
11:30 tomorrow?
Is that? Or is that 11:30? No, yeah, it's 11:30 Palo Alto time.
So 2:30 Central Time.
No, it should be.
Will be 1:30 Central Time.
1:30 Central Time.
Time is weird. Time is a fake construct. 1:30.
They play 1:30.
It is 1:30.
Okay. So
let's get settled here.
1:30 tomorrow. So it's 2:30 Eastern time.
Yeah, 1:30 Central, 11:30 Palo Alto, out in California.
They play Oklahoma. How cool would that be?
Now, I would like. We'll see. Again, just to point this out, Nyjah's ERA this year is 0.48. Nyjah pitched 116 in the third innings for Stanford this season. She allowed 8 earned runs and 116 in the third innings.
That's stupid.
I have been blessed to have watched a lot of softball when I worked for KU. So I've not a ton here. I'm not going to act like I'm the expert on this subject because I'm far from an expert.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot, though. That's one of the most absurd things I've seen.
That's ridiculous.
And more importantly, I watched Oklahoma softball for 2 years where every inch of that team's absurd. That's an absurd thing. So it's awesome, and I hope she does great against OU. I have to imagine she throws against OU. You just gotta.
You got to go with the horse that brought you there.
Yeah.
And that horse is the freshman of the year. She's awesome. That's so cool.
Good.
That is so cool.
Great story.
That Nyjah can. It's just a freshman, and
it's
she's
so cool,
that good already. But if you've coached, if you've known her, and if people at Speak High are not surprised at this.
No one around
surprised.
this
That's
community
so cool.
is surprised at all of this.
That's so cool. So hopefully we can try to get a hold of Nyjah coming up tomorrow. We'll get a quick time out. Coming up next, we will get to everyone loves the list, foods that just taste better in the summertime. Alrighty, everyone loves the list today. Our list topic, because it is starting to get a little warmer and we are creeping towards June. We're going to go with the foods that taste better in the summertime. So it's one of those deals where you're eating it, and because it's the summertime, you're like, this just feels way better.
Yeah.
It's just,
it can, something that's already can be good by itself, but is elevated by the fact that you're having it on a nice summer day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Simple concept.
Yes.
Number 4 for me, ice cream. Ice cream is good by itself. Ice cream on a hot day cools you down, feels great. It's 4 on the list though, because it melts. Gets a little messy, a little problematic. It knocks it down the bar for me. But ice cream.
Okay. I can see that. I can see that. I had one of these this weekend. It was fantastic. I call them freezer pops.
Oh yeah, that's what they're called.
Okay.
That's the proper name for them.
Had one of those over the weekend. My son, big fan. Big fan.
I, as a grown man who gets to buy his own groceries, at one point on a recent grocery trip, did buy me one of the big little red bundles of them. It's in my freezer. I'm still going through them.
Yeah.
Every time I bust them out, man, I'm in a really good place.
Yeah.
Number 3 for me. I don't know if anyone else thinks about this, but these to me taste better on a warm summer day. Grapes. It's a weird call, and I'll accept that.
I'm team grapes year round. I love grapes.
Oh, I love them year round.
Yeah.
But I think they're lower on the list because it's not like a big change.
Okay.
But they do feel a little better because another thing, like I'm hot, so I'm parched, and they're a combination of food, but also got some of that grape juice in there that satiates the thirst.
Okay. Number 3 for me, a hot dog.
Oh, that's a good call.
A good dog, man. I had a hot dog at the ballpark when I went there. It's just way better.
That's a good call.
A hot dog.
Good call. Number 2 for me, watermelon.
Number 2 for me is ice cream. Okay. I got ice cream very high on my list.
As it should be. Properly.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
Ice cream is good, but when you get ice cream, on a June or July day, it elevates.
Number 1 for me is the popsicle. I don't care what version you're getting it in. A popsicle on a hot day.
Like a bomb pop or...
Bomb pop. I'm a freezer pop guy first and most. But like a bomb pop in there, one of them rocket pops, and just a little basic, like you just got basic orange on a stick.
Okay.
Popsicle is the greatest summer treat. Hands down, no debate.
There is a debate.
Sure.
There's one thing that...
I'll let you make an argument.
Is just elite in the summertime.
I'll let you make an argument.
And you already said it. It's watermelon, man.
Watermelon is great.
This is the first thing that popped in my head.
Love watermelon.
Watermelon. There is nothing better than watermelon on a summer day. I don't even eat watermelon in the wintertime.
I love watermelon.
Watermelon
on a hot day.
Awesome.
Is great. Yeah.
Awesome. Coming up, we will get to the summer of Fulton. For the 2 o'clock hour, we will get to the latest on could Colorado be going to the Big 12? Conference scheduling, all of that. We'll get to that. Plus, it's time to chalk up another or cross off another to do for Fulton Caster this summer. We call it the Summer of Fulton. We're trying to expand young Fulton's horizons. And let's see, what we've done already is we were going to do the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum.
Yeah, but I did that on my own.
You did that before this started, which you got yelled at by me.
Yeah, well...
Not really a yell at, but I was like, hey, we were going to include that in the Summer of Fulton.
And my response was, we didn't start it while it was going to be free, and I like free things.
That's true, even though it only costs $5.
Yeah, and when I learned that, I was really mad at myself.
That's okay. That's all right. No big deal. Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, cool. Really cool that they're going to get a new building.
Oh, I'm
really
so
cool.
excited.
Really
they
cool.
After I went there, they deserve the world, and I'm so happy they're going to get to include more stuff and have more exhibits, and more people can see just a great piece of baseball history. That thing is amazing. Yeah.
Then you decided to watch Tommy Boy.
I did. Great movie. Would watch it again. 10 out of 10.
Yep, 10 out of 10.
Love that
Fantastic movie. One of the most quotable movies out there.
So funny.
And it kind of still holds up.
It does. There's a few points where you're like, okay,
but that's acceptable. I'm not gonna knock that.
No, it's different. But overall, it holds up fairly well.
Then we went with the movie Die Hard.
Yeah, about a 6 out of 10.
You're not an action guy.
Yeah, and that's the entire reason why.
It's not your deal.
It doesn't get full marks for me. I'm not an action movie person.
Yeah, but some great
fantastic one-liners. Oh, beautiful one-liner.
Yeah. Low key, the guy who really makes that movie is not Bruce Willis. It is not Alan Rickman. It is Sergeant Al Powell.
Oh, it's very much Sergeant Al Powell
of the police department. Reginald VelJohnson. Fantastic.
Legend.
You probably know him as the dad in Family Matters, who deals with Steve Urkel. But you had I gave you your choice.
Mhm.
This was non-movie edition.
Yep.
You had to go to someplace.
Mhm.
And you went to probably the most underrated hidden gem in Topeka, and a place that I'm going to guess half the people more than that. 70% of the people in Topeka have never been to it.
Mhm.
And it is an absolute gem.
Yeah.
You went to the Brown versus Board of Education building.
Yeah.
The building. It is still there, folks. That is
Very well kept.
history.
Yeah.
So take me through overall experience.
Yeah.
What are we giving the Brown v board?
So yeah, I decided one Saturday morning I had literally nothing going on. So like, screw it, I'm awake. Let's go. And I went to the Brown v board site. It was really good. The area is like, the building is so well kept, and so you can tell it's been preserved, but preserved in the proper way that it's not been historically altered. Like, that's a building that looks and acts like a building from the 1950s, but it's just been upkept enough that, it's perfectly running well. But no, it's and the first thing I loved is where I parked. There was there's a visitors parking lot where you park right across the street, across the big grass field,
in the gravel area.
Yeah, in the little gravel pot, and there's a big sign there, which already I was like, we got signs out here. I love nothing more at history places than big signs I get to read. I have a degree in history for a reason.
I stop at every single historical marker when I'm driving. It irritates my wife to know.
I wouldn't go that far because I hate road trips, and so therefore I want to get to where I'm going.
Yeah, I stop and read all of them.
But so I read that, and learning some of that stuff was cool. I learned that apparently there's just a gigantic 3-mile walking trail a part of this you can be a part of. I didn't do that. I will probably end up doing that at some point because it's not that bad of a walk, and I get to learn stuff as I do it. But then I walked around to the front of the building, and I liked that when you walk up to the front, there's several different markers just to explain to you the historical significance of the neighborhood, of the area, and learning, here's, an example of how far some people would have to walk to get to this school, that because of, segregationist laws and Jim Crow laws and redlining and things like that, kids are walking, several miles from different places to get there and things like that. Not that, other things that in certain communities all people had to deal with, but in this specific community, it made no sense for them to have to deal with this outside of, racial segregationist practices. So that on the exterior was just very interesting to learn about, and, getting more of the idea of, and it begins to introduce some of the civil rights leaders that were a part of it, all things like that, which is nice. And then you enter the school, the front door of the school building, and you can either go straight forward into a nice little introductory film area, which, high key, I love me a museum with introductory films. And there's a specific reason why. This has nothing to do with kids are so lazy now they don't want to read. That's not what this is about. The way times have changed, we consume things differently. And consuming things through a visual medium is a way a lot of people like things better. And it's actually a way I learn personally a little better. Like, there's a reason I like to I like to watch documentaries more than I read historical pieces. I still do both, but I like to watch and listen to things more because I just retain information and absorb it better that way. So first off, the multimedia way they do everything is my favorite part, because they have a self-guided tour, which I was walked in, very nice lady, met me at the front, and was just like, first time been there. I was like, yeah. She's like, we have a self-guided tour. Here's kind of the path to take. And I was like, cool, I'm out. I'm just going off my own merry little way here. And I loved that as you went, you basically went through a timeline in these different rooms and went from kind of the beginning and learning the history of what got us to a point of how we got to separate but equal schools and segregation and things like that. And kind of going through, what it would be like to where we got to the point of first challenging it, first striking it down, and kind of what it was like to have to go through.
Yeah, because that's the cool thing about it. It's been about 4 or 5 years since I've been there, and I need to go back again. But like when you walk down the halls, like it's still the same as 1954.
Yeah,
like that's so cool.
Oh, it's crazy, and getting to go through all those different things, and then just every piece of it was great. Like I truly don't think I could pick out a favorite part, because I loved every inch of it, and I think every inch of it, more importantly, is so important to tie it together to the other parts. Like, it must be taken as a sum of the parts. It cannot be, oh, if you go and only have time for one thing. No, you need to go and read and experience every inch of it.
Because it took you about an hour.
Give or take,
Yeah.
45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, not a long time.
And that was me taking all the time to really, read stuff and get into stuff. So, I mean, you within 40 minutes to an hour can get through it. It is not a lot of work. It's a very lovely building. It's very well kept. No, I recommend, if any of you in this city have not gone, it's not that hard to get to. I learned it was like 5 minutes from my apartment.
Yeah.
Like, it was the shortest drive in the world.
It's just right off of, it's almost right off the interstate. You get off the interstate at Adams, you go down 17th.
It's off on Monroe.
Yeah, it's right there near Cushionberry Park.
Yeah.
You park, it's open 9 to 5. You can learn a whole lot from it. Like, I really, really do think this is something that I think every high school class, every high school class
they should
in Topeka,
take a field trip.
If you teach high school, or if you're in a high school history class, you should be able to pile them into a bus and take them to there. Yeah. Because I don't know how many people have gone. Like, if we went through this entire building
and see how many people have gone,
how many people have gone?
I'd be intrigued.
So,
I'd be interested. It's a very good place that I recommend, because also of it's free and it takes an hour of your day. Like, their hours, they're just not open. I believe Sundays and Mondays, only 2 days they're not open. Every other day they're open from 9 to 5, give or take. I believe it was 10.
That's
might have been. Yeah, no, it was 9 to 5 on the Saturdays. I went at 10 or 11. So no, yeah, it's great. There's some great historical perspective. Everything is so well preserved. So, you feel like
eye-opening too.
It really is too. Like, it's a sobering reality of certain things. And, there was no interesting feeling to me than walking in and hearing old school floorboards creaking me going, man, this sounds like a 1950 school building.
Yep, 1954.
This old floorboard is squeaking. So it's great. It was awesome.
Recommend 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
10 out of 10. If you have an hour of your day on a weekend, just take a Saturday morning and go.
So far, I've given you Negro Leagues Baseball Museum.
Yep.
You were kind of still planning on going to that.
Yeah, that was going to be a no matter what.
Yeah, but we've got Tommy Boy.
Great.
Like, this has been good.
Yes, it's been a good experience. I have not unenjoyed anything so far.
Okay.
To use a fake word.
Here's what's up next for you to do. Now, here's the thing. You've got technically 2 weeks to do this because you're going to be gone all next week.
Yeah, spoiler alert to everybody here. You don't get to hear my voice next week. No. I'm on vacation.
Fulton is going to go sit in a boat because we don't know if
I'm going to go on a. I've learned my lesson from last year when I was lied to.
We don't know.
I'm going on a family vacation next week that fishing will be a part of, and all the jokes are still flying in. I'm taking a stand right here. I'm taking a stand.
No.
Last year was a bad year for me. Didn't go well, but again, a lot of factors at play screwed us over.
It kind of sounds like those are some excuses.
The year before, when I went on my most standard of trips,
Pixar didn't happen.
I have one. I have photographic evidence from that year. I got it.
Yeah. So
I among my 4 friends that I spent most of my time with, caught the most of any of us. I was in double digits. So I can fish. Yes. Last year was an outlier. I'm going to end these jokes this year.
Well, we'll see.
I'm ceasing them.
We'll see.
Y'all are done.
Okay. So,
but on my vacation, it's going to be awesome. So I basically do have 2 weeks.
So the next for the summer of Fulton, you get one of 2 choices.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I had to use my wife to help me out with this one. Okay. The Evel Knievel Museum. Okay. Now that might not be up your tee if you're not a big,
Oh, I can already tell that's not my alley.
Not up your alley. But then you told me
I've been dreading this.
You have never seen a show or an episode on anything on HGTV.
No, I know what the Home and Garden Network is. Yes. I can recognize the Home and Garden Network's logo. I've never watched a show on HGTV.
Here's what we're gonna do. I talked to my wife because she is a fan of some of those shows. So what you're gonna do is the problem is we can find an episode of Fixer Upper. That was what really launched HGTV was Fixer Upper. Chip and Joanna down there in Waco. You have to watch one episode of Fixer Upper.
Okay.
Now, it's not on TV anymore, but I did find out because I was trying to help you out, trying to find out where we can find it. We'll find it somewhere. But there's going to be a Fixer Upper Hotel Edition coming up with Chip and Joanna. Interesting. But you have to watch one episode of Fixer Upper.
Okay.
And because that's only 30 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. We're trying to do things that are about an hour.
Yeah.
One episode of Fixer Upper and one episode of Bargain Mansions by Kansas City native Tamara Day. Okay. That's where in Kansas City they take some of these old houses and she redoes them, style wise and structurally and all that kind of stuff to make them more modern.
Okay.
So you have to combine those. So we're gonna have to do an episode of Fixer Upper and an episode of Bargain Mansions. So it's two episodes, one kind of different, one kind of both HG. I'm not gonna do like Love It or List It. Those are I'm not a huge fan of those. That type of thing.
You give me some nice home renovation shows.
Yes. So that's what we need to do there.
Craftsman itch can at least
now here's the benefit. Fixer Upper is just 22 minutes one episode, 22 minutes of another episode. Got some commercials. Maybe we can fast forward. So there you go. So this is gonna step out of your comfort zone a little bit.
It is.
Okay. Where the previous ones were
fairly up my alley.
Fairly up your alley.
Yeah.
You needed to watch Die Hard. Let's be real.
Apparently, I needed to.
You needed to. So, Evel Knievel Museum, if that's not your cup of tea, I think you'll enjoy that. But it'll be good for you to watch Fixer Upper and Bargain Mansions.
We'll see.
Yeah. I am doing something that you asked me to do.
Yes. So today, for those of you that enjoy the show, was the series finale of Ted Lasso. It officially came at like 11 o'clock last night. Most people are going to watch it today here, in the States. Normally I watch the show after Wednesday's shows. I go home and it's one of my Wednesday programming. I did not. I stayed up late last night to watch it because I couldn't wait. It was an over an hour long of a series finale and it was beautiful. I think every 3 seasons of that show are beautiful. I learned Jake had never seen Ted Lasso.
Well, I never had Apple TV.
Yeah, Jake didn't have Apple TV.
That's the hard part about Fixer Upper. I don't know if we can find an episode.
I have some ideas. Where I think I can find it. But I recommended to Jake. I said, I think you should get Apple TV or find someone who I told you I will give you my login. Like I will just give you my account info. Like you need because I think you would enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I learned Jake is now with just one episode or a couple.
3 deep.
3 deep. Oh.
Yeah, we started an episode at 10:30 yesterday, which was just stupid.
Yeah, I don't know why you guys did that.
Was dumb. They're only 30-minute episodes, so I didn't go to bed till 11.
I will warn you, they get longer. They get quite longer.
No, I kind of like that they were just
no,
minutes.
Buddy, they get longer. It fluctuates. Some are longer, some are shorter.
Anything over an hour?
The series finale is over an hour.
No, that doesn't count.
And I think a couple episodes this season bordered right on an hour.
No kidding, that's too long.
It's worth it.
No, so far
it's worth it.
So far, so good.
I recommend any of you, if you have Apple TV, watch Ted Lasso. It's not just a hype of because some of those shows are like, everyone says it's good, so is it just people are saying it's good?
Here's the other thing too. Why do you hate my dad jokes when you love Ted Lasso's dad jokes?
Because Ted's delivery. Ted's delivery is
all it is so
yours.
far is dad jokes, which is why it's right in my wheelhouse right now.
It's legitimately a kind of a fun way to learn about some things about soccer. It truly is kind of a way to learn it.
When they said we're right now in the middle of the table, and
your wife was probably just like, huh?
And I said, that's standings over there.
Standings.
So
standings.
This is why the text line is so clutch. Alrighty. From the 913, Fixer Upper is now on HBO Max. Do you have HBO?
Yeah.
You do?
I have Max.
Yeah, Max.
Yeah, we got to remember, guys. It's Max now. That's so stupid.
There we go.
Yeah, I got Max.
One episode of...
I have a couple random shows I watch on there.
Sweet.
Not Succession. Apparently, every one of you loves that thing.
I haven't watched that one, though.
Apparently, everyone loves that thing.
So there we go. I did not know Fixer Upper was on
Easy
HBO.
peasy. There we go. See?
So one episode there, and then HGTV is probably on your YouTube TV, I'm guessing.
It's going to be on some. I have found a lot of niche apps as of late to find really random things I want to watch. So I've gotten pretty good at being able to hunt down where the random stuff is stored. So I bet I can find it. If not, YouTube's my friend.
Yeah, well,
You can find anything on
there we
YouTube
go.
nowadays.
So are we leaning towards Fixer Upper and Bargain Mansion?
Probably, because honestly, depending on how my time goes, I might use some downtime during vacation next week and just like I'm gonna have times of just get ready to sleep because I'll probably one of the I'm the only night owl of the people I'm going with. So it's like 11 o'clock and I'm wide awake.
What if now you watch one episode of Fixer Upper and Bargain Mansions, and then you just turn into, that guy who's just you're gonna completely redo your apartment and all that kind of stuff. What if you get really into it?
I wouldn't be surprised. Because craftsmanship is a thing I like.
Yeah, it's good. The shows are good.
The only thing that will stop me from doing extensive renovations around any building I live in right now is first that I rent places.
Yeah,
that, and two, I'm not gonna break into my budget for things to get financially.
From the text line, loved Ted Lasso, loved all 3 seasons. They did a beautiful job.
Oh yeah, fantastic.
So far,
I recommend to any of you. Even if you're not a big sports person in general, the storytelling is beautiful.
So far, so good.
I'm glad.
Coming up in the 2 o'clock hour, we will get to the college football world coming up. Mic'd up on this Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Jake and Fulton along with Fulton Caster. No Royals baseball today. We will talk about the Royals' first 2 months of the season coming up tomorrow. No Royals baseball today. No Royals baseball tomorrow. So we will recap the first 2 months.
Spoiler alert, they've really sucked.
That they don't have a 3-game winning streak. They are one of 2 teams who don't have a 3-game winning streak this year. But the A's could get a 3-game winning streak today.
Again, if the Braves get swept by the A's, that does not mean the Braves are worse than the A's. It just means the Braves had a real bad 3-game stretch. That being said, the Braves deserve to be relegated, disbanded, and made into a single A team. You can't get swept by Oakland.
Yes. Yeah,
you can't lose 2 games to them. Because it was embarrassing when the Royals lost 2 games to them.
Yeah. Can't do it.
The A's are a travesty.
So
I just want to point out also, just for the fun here, the A's have 12 wins this year now, I think?
I think so.
That means a third of their wins have come against the Braves and the Royals. 2 entirely identical teams.
Yeah.
Not a single difference between them.
No, both juggernauts in their own way. In their own way. Yeah. Let us know your thoughts. Hit us up on our text line, 785-272-9429. You can also leave us a message in the comments section. Very simple, very easy. Let us know there. From the comments in the YouTube page, Fulton, the Evil Knievel Museum isn't my alley either, but I absolutely loved it.
Bodes well.
So there you go. There we go. Lot to get to when it comes to the college football world. We talked with Dan Wolken in the 12 o'clock hour on all things college athletics. But the first thing that I want to get to is more involving the Big 12. From Dennis Dodd, friend of the show. Try to get him on today, but he's at the SEC meetings. His headline says this: Colorado holds substantive talks with Big 12 as Buffaloes consider leaving the Pac-12. With the latest rounds of realignment having slowed to a crawl, it appears it may be close to picking back up. Colorado has been in substantive talks with the Big 12 about possibly joining a growing league. While a move out of the Pac-12 is not assured, Colorado is pouring due diligence to determine whether or not to return to the conference it once called home. The Buffaloes, like the rest of the Pac-12, remain in wait and see at a new media rights deal. Colorado's rumored Big 12 interest was the talk of the Fiesta Summit earlier this month in Scottsdale. Interesting. According to the athletic director, I have no comment on what was going to be said. Colorado would receive equal media rights to join the Big 12, making the move even more attractive. The league's contract with ESPN is supposed to be about the third best. Big 12 schools are expected to get an update on expansion prospects this week during conference meetings in West Virginia. create a domino leading to the four corner schools, Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah fleeing to the Big 12 as well. Pac-12 remains in flux. Here's the other thing about this, is that Dion might want to get back into the Big 12 because he wants the school to get back into playing Texas. That is what some reports have been discussed. I as a Big Eighter, I love that the Big 12 is going after Colorado. The stadium is incredible. Boulder is beautiful. Pearl Street is fun. And it's not that difficult of a trip.
No.
Easy for Western Kansas K-Staters to go there. Just it's Colorado. Some great games with Colorado. I don't know if that's the best move to make if you are a business decision, because I don't know how much Colorado brings to the table. Denver is not a college sports town. They are a pro sports town. But if you were going to look at who you would bring in, Colorado seems to fit the best when it comes to geography, even though to me, geography doesn't mean diddly squat anymore.
No, not really.
But I do think Dion is right. Trying to get back into Texas, because you'd still play Tech, you'd still play Baylor, you still play TCU, and you'd still play Houston. That is huge when we talk about high school and athletes coming from Texas. If the Pac-12 doesn't get a media rights deal soon, the longer it goes, the worse it's going to be for the Pac-12. And eventually someone is just going to say, yeah, I'm not really interested in it. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to do what's best for me. So I mean, that'd be very, very interesting when it comes to Colorado joining the Big 12. And if that is the domino going forward for Arizona, Arizona State, or Arizona, Colorado, Utah, wherever. So that's one thing that is now in discussion right now for the Big 12. It is the SEC meetings going on where all of the powers that be meet up. Now, this is basically just ADs and commissioners and that everything. It's not the media days. That's for the players and the coaches.
Yeah.
But right now, the big topic, and I can't stand this. This is the thing that upsets me more than anything in college football is you play 12 games in college football in the regular season. Why can't the SEC play a 9-game conference schedule? Blows my mind. Dan Wolken said, it's kind of a little political when it comes to that. No, it isn't. Play the 9-game schedule. Every other league outside of the SEC and the ACC plays a 9-game schedule. If the Big Ten moved to a 9-game schedule, you can do it too. Especially when you've got 16 teams in your conference now coming up next year in 24. I'm sorry. There is no reason why the SEC can't play 9 conference games. It's an absolute joke that they don't play 9 conference games right now.
They don't play 9 conference games because they don't want to. Like it's as simple as that. And all these coaches that say, "Oh, what if everyone else did?" Like you're all blowing smoke. Like why we can't uniform the amount of conference games teams play is truly insane. Especially like for the SEC, you guys want to tout how often you are the best league in college football and that, you know, we have the best teams. We play the toughest schedules. You know, it just means more is what they like to say. Then play each other one more time a year. My main thing is this. Get rid of that November cupcake crap. And it's not I don't have a problem with teams playing FCS teams or week come. No, that's the nature of college football. Because I've seen a certain set of KU fans be like, oh, we're getting better now. Why do we still keep scheduling these, auto wins essentially? Because that's the nature of the beast. It helps you get a win in your schedule, and it helps the other schools get funding because they are paid to be there. I do not understand why in the heart of conference season, when everyone's playing big games and we're getting great matchups and everyone's, bust their tail up to try and get late season wins and position themselves for bowl games. And some teams, try and prove their playoff eligibility. All of that, every ounce of it. I don't get why I would have to possibly watch Alabama play the Citadel. Why do I have to watch Georgia play Northeastern State?
I'm going to tell you, I just looked up random SEC school. Ole Miss on November 18th will face Louisiana Monroe.
Why?
Tennessee. They will face. They actually
are they playing a real school?
They will play UConn.
Though that doesn't count.
Play UConn.
UConn in football is not a real school.
Okay. Georgia. The Dogs. They play. They don't have one.
Georgia's earned my respect.
Well, I mean, their four non-conference games are UT Martin, their first game, Ball State, UAB, the Blazers, and yeah, because their one that they finished with is Georgia Tech. Missouri. Who does Missouri play? They have a Patsy in at the end of the year. They don't either because their four are South Dakota, Middle Tennessee, K-State, and Memphis. I don't think
Georgia's difference is they always end the year against Georgia Tech. So I guess that's where but that's fine. You know what? Georgia is allowed to play Georgia Tech to end the season because that's a traditional rivalry game, and that's rivalry week. That's another bone to pick with other problems. But no, like so many of these teams do that, and I don't know why.
Arkansas plays Florida International.
Do you know Alabama plays on November 18th?
Samford.
Chattanooga.
Yeah.
They're playing the Mocs. What are we doing? Like that's my complaint with the SEC.
Auburn is playing New Mexico State.
That's my complaint with the SEC. It's like, I don't mind that you're playing cupcakes. Every school, every team in the country does it. It's totally fine. My problem is, at the end of the season with 2 games to go, you guys are scheduling yourselves a break.
Mississippi State's
and
playing.
That's just not right.
Abilene Christian.
I am a big proponent of within the first 4 weeks, your non-con should be done.
I don't mind that they play the cupcake then. What I have a problem with is the Big 12 is playing 9. The Pac-12 is playing 9. The American is playing 9. The Big 10 is playing 9. Why do you only have to play 8? This is why there needs to be, and the ACC is the most little brother of little brother leagues in the world. If the SEC decided to play all of their games on Fridays, then the ACC would follow suit. If the SEC said we're only going to play games at noon, the ACC would follow suit. If the SEC says we're going to go to nine conference games, the ACC will go to 9. But that's why there needs to be, someone who's in charge, someone to actually say, no, what you're doing is stupid. Okay, stop.
Play 9. Get some help.
Play 9. You have 16 teams in your conference now.
It is
when Texas and Oklahoma join, you need to be playing 9 conference games. Plus, the other thing that upsets me, okay, if you are, I've got Texas A&M's schedule here. They're playing for their non-conference. They actually are playing Miami this year. So
good. They're playing a real school.
Kudos to you. But the problem is that you're playing four softies, if you will. That's it. You have, like, Arkansas schedule, Western Carolina, Kent State. Who else they got? FIU. You know, like, you need to be able. You should be playing. You should be playing 9 teams in your league because that's what everyone else is doing.
Yes,
it needs to be more competitive. And don't tell me, well, Jake, the SEC, it's much harder.
Cool. They pride themselves on that. Play one more game in your conference.
Yeah.
They want to shove it down your throat. Them as the schools and their fan bases want to shove it down your throat that they are better than you because they play in the toughest conference and that every week in the SEC is like a week in the NFL. Cool. Play another game.
Yeah.
Be an adult. Be a real institution. Be a real conference and play 9 conference games. And I don't know why they can't agree on this.
Makes no sense.
It feels like a very stupid thing to get like upset over, but 1, that's me in a nutshell. 2, it's just crazy because it makes no sense. And it waters down the product as well. But it's not to a certain level. It is not fair that, because, like, let's say, you know, for these other conferences, let's pretend all the conference power was equal. Let's pretend the schedules were equal. And in certain aspects, they're more equal than they are unequal, but that's neither here nor there. Why is it fair then for one tough conference to play 9 conference opponents and another tough conference only to play 8? The SEC teams are scheduling themselves more often than not 1 extra free win. Yeah. Not always, because sometimes that extra like in the case of A&M, that extra non-con game, one of their non-con games is Miami. You know, Arkansas is BYU. So sometimes they play other Power 5 teams and real opponents. But then you got some SEC teams who play 4 jokes. So then they only have to win 2 conference games to get to a bowl game? That's not fair. That's just not fair. That's not how this should be. That should not be how the balance of the landscape should be. You should not get extra free wins because your conference, for whatever reason, decides you get to play 1 less conference game. Like, it's just not how it should work.
Right now, down in the SEC land, Eli Drinkwitz is trying to, clarify his talk again yesterday.
Not going to help there, buddy.
And he says this: I want everybody to understand there is an unintended consequence with giving 18 to 22-year-olds a large sum of money. That's what needs to be understanding. We're not talking about players making $10,000 or $12,000 a year. We're talking about players making 6 figures, 7 figures, which is awesome. But with that much money comes a different set of responsibility. If we're not careful, we're going to look back in 4 or 5 years and we're going to just be like the NFL and the NBA, where 78% of professional athletes after 5 years removed from playing in the NFL are bankrupt. Here's the thing about this. Okay. What does it matter? Why are you telling someone else what to do because you think you know better? Last time I checked, if we're going to go this route, the whole 18 to 22-year-olds, they can make their decisions. And if they want to blow all their money on shoes, so be it. I don't care.
It's their money. Use how they want to do it.
Why all of a sudden now are we in the moral compass, if you will, Eli Drinkwitz? Oh, now morally it's like, oh, yeah, they got this money. they don't know what to do with it. They're not going to make the smart choices. We need to be the ones to tell them what to do with it. That's travesty that they make that kind of money, and then in 5 years they're going to be broke. That we have to do something for them. Since when all of a sudden now do you care about them?
Yeah,
that is so laughable to me.
Acting like the moral police and acting like all of a sudden, like this has always been my thing about when it comes to these types of conversations, has been the fake moral superiority that those in power in college football and those around college football try to put out for athletes getting paid. When it comes to the dollar amounts, the specific dollar amounts, you guys didn't put any structure in place when this started. And so the free market gets to decide, as it does in so many other things in this country.
Why also are we talking about the minority here? Do you know how many people make? He says 7 figures. Do you know how many athletes make
it's a small percentage.
7 figures? I bet you there isn't 10 athletes in the entire college industry that make 10 or that make 7 figures. There's so many examples of all these numbers that you see on what they're going to make. That isn't the number that they're going to take home. Not even close to it. There's so much. It's just like, they say, it's a lot of it's how much of it is guaranteed. There could be so much fluff involved in it. Take every single, like Nigel Pack, he got $800,000 for 2 years to go to Miami. If he makes all $800,000 of that, I will be surprised. All right. I would actually have to see that honestly to believe that this person is going to get that kind of money. And if they get, in the quote, if they get $10,000 to $12,000 a year,
who cares?
So what if they want to spend it on a truck or something? Maybe that's what they want. Why are you trying to be in charge of them?
It's the weird double standard we start to apply of, one, why are we so obsessed with regulating how much they can make? When if you told these people we'd regulate what they could make, they would lose their mind. Like if you told Eli Drinkowitz going, hey buddy, I honestly, these head coaching salaries are getting out of control. We got head coaches out here making, 8, 9, 10 figures, and it's just insane. We should probably put a stop to it. He would lose his mind. He'd go, well, what are you doing? He's like, let the market decide. Buddy, it's the same principle. And then why are we so obsessed with telling people how to spend their money sometimes? Like, there's a time and a place for maybe questioning spending on certain things. It's much more nuanced than just never ever complain about how someone spends money. But for these kids, for the most part, like, why do you care? Why does it matter? If Joe Blow over there playing quarterback decides, he's got a $8,000 NIL check that just came through, and buddy wants to buy 30 pairs of Jordans. I may not recommend it. I may not advise it. If I was this buddy, I'd go, hey, dude, like, buy 10. Just buy 10 and let's go from there.
Well, it depends on what kind of Jordans he's buying.
I know, and other things.
If he's buying like the 5s, if he's buying like the 17s and 18s, okay.
Yeah, but
you're wasting your money.
Exactly. It's like, but I may be his buddy. Just go, hey,
11s.
Are you thinking this through? But sometimes going by the end of the day, it's like, all right, bud, you want to do it? Go ahead. If we are going to treat them like adults in so many other facets, and we do, let's not forget, with these athletes, they are treated and viewed as adults in so many other ways. Why financially is where the buck stops.
Yeah, makes no
Why?
sense. So
it's hypocritical and it's stupid.
College football, there's a lot of stuff going on about how the NCAA or maybe college football needs to go the NFL route. I don't think that will happen for a while, but it wouldn't stun me if it ends up going there, to be honest with you. But football should be its own specific set of rules, its own football recruiting calendar, its own football recruiting windows. Make football its own ecosystem. and it can operate all on its own. Everything else can be separate. Coming up next, some more details on the NFL with good old Aaron Rodgers. He went from a guy who you like really liked to a guy that just became very unlikable. We'll get to that coming up next. The schedules times for Big 12 games have been released. I wonder if it's because of the networks for the NFL that they get specific game times for all 17 games. Basically, I know the last game still kind of to be determined, and they can do flex scheduling, but that rarely happens.
Yeah.
Yet college gets 2 weeks and some week 1 week from knowing when you're going to kick off.
Yeah.
Why can't, if the NFL can find a way so I can know what time the Chiefs are going to be playing the Bengals, on week 15, know exactly the kickoff time with very minimal chance of change. Why can't I find out when KU takes on Texas in November?
So, from how I've always understood it, part of the reason the announcements are so spread out like that is, and I assume it comes from the networks, they don't want bad games in primetime.
And no, I understand why, but why is it that the NFL can do it, but
because the NFL can guarantee you more safely good product? Like NFL parity and NFL knowledge of what a team's going to be is so much more knowable. And the NFL is a built-in system when you start getting to flex scheduling down the line to remedy primetime games.
But they only flex, they don't flex it a lot.
They don't. And maybe for networks, it's more important that they always have high-quality college football in the proper windows. Whereas the NFL, you're watching no matter what. So I think if a college football product is bad enough, I don't think, people are watching unless you're the sickos. Whereas NFL, folks, we're all watching no matter what.
Because that's really...
I have to imagine that that's part of it. It's just they want to stabilize and have a better chance of if for some reason KU regresses entirely and KU goes back to being like one-win Kansas and they're getting smoked. They don't want to lock in that KU Texas is 7:00 prime time on Fox. They want an ability to go, nope. That is 11:00 on FS2. Get it out of here.
Because that is annoying that we don't know the game.
Oh, it's so frustrating. It's frustrating, but I get it.
It's stupid.
I get it why. It's frustrating, but it's frustrating I understand.
It shouldn't be a thing. Plug in the game times and let's roll.
I get it. I get it, though.
Don't like that at all.
I understand it. I would only be cool with having set game times all the season long if you implemented a kind of flex system. Because then, if there's a good matchup, if KU and K-State become the top two teams of the Big 12, that would be so cool, by the way. And their matchup is originally scheduled for 11 a.m. Buddy, I want that game on at 6:00 on Big Fox for everyone to watch.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't mind it that much.
So just to let everybody know, the non-conference schedule is out for K-State. They will play at 6:00, their first game against SEMO. They will play 11:00 against Troy. And then they will play at 11:00 against Missouri. That game will be on the SEC network. The game against Troy will be on FS1. KU will play Thursday, the 31st, against Mo State. That's on ESPN Plus. Then we don't know when they're going to play against Illinois. It's either going to be Friday or Saturday. Don't know what time. Depends upon perhaps the other game, maybe. I don't quite know.
I don't know.
There is Houston is at Rice and Illinois is at Kansas. Both of those are to be determined Friday or Saturday. I'm hoping Houston Rice is on Friday. Then KU will take on Nevada at 9:30 at night on CBS Sports Network. Those are the kickoff times there.
Put the coffee on.
And then K-State will be at Oklahoma State, 6:30 on ESPN on Friday, October 6th. We do know that. So those are some of the schedule updates there. But did want to touch on this. Aaron Rodgers went from a guy that I really liked to a guy now that just not a fan anymore. There's more dirt coming out on Rodgers and the Packers organization. He says he still respects them, but apparently he not a fan of Brian Gutekunst, who is the GM. Apparently, not only did Rodgers' agent, David Dunn, ask the Packers to fire Gutekunst in 2021, a year after the team spent a first-round pick on Rodgers' future successor, but the new Jets quarterback now blames his former GM for failing to communicate and win his personal approval. So you want to talk about did not go well at the end for one Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Yeah, I want the GM fired. Yeah. You can't let the inmates run the asylum.
Nope.
You can't do that. And apparently Rodgers wasn't buying into all the stuff that he signed off on. It has gotten actually pretty ugly, according to these sources, between the two. You just hope. All I can think about with this situation is I hope the way it ended in Green Bay is not how the Chiefs and Mahomes end things. I don't think Mahomes is a weirdo like Rodgers. I don't. At least I hope he isn't.
It doesn't have anything that comes off that way.
Right now it doesn't.
Here's the thing when it comes to Rodgers and the Packers. It's all about the personality of the guy, and what we're learning is just Rodgers has an ego, and superstars have egos.
I think Mahomes has an ego.
Yeah, no, Pat does, but it's to the level that ego exists.
Okay.
Because every single person on this planet has an ego. You have an ego, I have an ego, everyone has an ego. It's to what is the scale of it? How much are you self-centered? How much are you have more narcissistic tendencies? How much, is it more about, you want things to be catered to you a little bit more? And that fluctuates. I'm going to caveat all this with, I'm not a psychologist. I don't know how all this stuff legitimately works. But, I mean, because Mahomes has it. You know how I know Mahomes has it? How many times on the field has he taunted things people have said to him?
Oh, yeah.
That's ego.
Mm-hmm.
Pat doing the whole 1, 2, 3, 4 thing after a touchdown. That's ego. The whole 10 fingers thing, that's ego. But Aaron Rodgers, after when the Packers drafted Love, that's where I go, buddy, you need to have some perspective. Because Aaron Rodgers has, and CBS Sports put out a piece on this today, and The Athletic put out a piece on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers today. And when the Packers drafted Love, Aaron has openly talked about it a little bit, was not the happiest when it happened. Because it's the idea of they've drafted your successor. A succession plan is now begun. Here's the thing, though, and that I don't know. Well, one, the Packers couldn't have expected or predicted, and no one really could have. And what I don't get that Aaron Rodgers cannot understand of the Packers' line of thinking. Aaron Rodgers, when Love was drafted, was going to be 37. He was coming off a season that, yes, they went 13-3, but he barely threw for 4,000 yards. And I know you're like, wow, 4,000 yards is, still an impressive feat. For Aaron Rodgers standards, barely 4,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, still great interceptions, only 4 interceptions. He played well, but it was Aaron Rodgers was slowly the age was setting in.
Yeah.
No one could have predicted he's about to have back-to-back MVP seasons. Not a person on this planet. Aaron Rodgers acts like it was a slap to the face that they drafted Love. And maybe it has something to do with the fact of they just got, blown out in that NFC Championship game. And he thought, if we fix a couple pieces, we could maybe get right back there. I mean, that is what it is, my brother. But breakups are messy. And that's what this is. That's where I'm like, we're not going to learn anything new from this. Rodgers can say what he wants to say. There's going to be some negative energy from both sides. Breakups are rarely clean. And that applies to that term in every sense of the word.
The old saying, it wouldn't end badly. Things don't end badly, otherwise it would never end.
Yeah. It's so rare for a split to be clean.
Yeah.
We have to realize that. So, I don't fault Aaron Rodgers for anything he's believed or he has said. I may, think he's a little warped in the head and think he's a little cuckoo and think he's way more selfish than I would prefer a player to be. But at the end of the day, he has the right to have the things he thinks. Do I think he's laying it on a bit thick with the Jets and some of the things? Of course he is. But you know why he's doing that? Because he just got to a new team. It's just like you always espouse that the new girlfriend after your last one is so much better in every way the first few months. You always do it. It might be true in the long run, but it's hard to believe it early because you're just trying to. It's the joke of the tweet of I'm not owned, please to everybody, I'm not owned or upset as I scream into a void. You're trying to prove to everybody you're okay.
Yep.
And both sides are doing this, but it's frustrating, and we're going to keep hearing more, and I'm fine with hearing more. And all I've learned from this is Rodgers is a kook. He's completely nutso. And that buddy, I think, cares a little bit about the team, but I think the last 3 years in Green Bay, all that man cared about was me, myself, and I. And I don't know how much this is going to change in New York.
Coming up next, we will get to some Royals discussion when it comes to the game last night and overall. News of the day happening. Ernest Uday is headed to TCU. Interesting. First it was Duke. Went and visited Duke. That didn't work out. K-State was high on the list.
Yeah. And really, the rumblings were he was going to go to Duke. That was the latest rumblings, was just he was going to be a Blue Devil. And then just TCU from the rafters descended and picked him up.
Yep. So, Ernest
including
Uday,
the greatest commitment graphic of all time. Ernest's commitment graphic from his Twitter is beautiful. Have you seen it?
No, I have not.
If you want to look it up, or I'll put it on the StreamYard here. I have it downloaded. I'll put it up on the screen here for all of our listeners. If you're watching on YouTube, you will see this. This is Ernest Uday's commitment graphic. It is just a bright purple thing. Ernest chilling with a basketball. The highlights are he's wearing some really dope shades. And he has Kermit the Frog on his left shoulder.
He does have Kermit the Frog on his
It is
shoulder.
the greatest commitment photo ever, and I'm now guaranteed, I've now never believed more. He's going to be a National Player of the Year candidate within 2 years. You drop a commitment graphic that hard. Oh, yeah. I had to share that with the masses. Had to.
So he is headed to TCU. So some more in-conference transferring. Also, Eric Spoelstra said that Tyler Hero will not play tomorrow. Also, news, if he did play, it wouldn't matter. So, go Nuggets, get the job done.
They'll be fine.
The Royals yesterday failed to win. Here's the thing. I figured out every time that the Royals have won 2 games, we give away Royals tickets the next day.
Yeah.
We've done that, I think,
pretty much
every time.
Close to
So
it.
do we continue to do that?
I mean, if we're a little stitious here, I think we might need to buck the trend the next time they win 2 in a row.
Yeah. I am not. I will flat out say so-and-so's perfect through 5 innings, 6 innings, 7 innings.
So I didn't get to say this. I didn't get to say this yesterday.
I'm not.
I have 2 rules. One is I don't like to bring it up if I'm not calling the game. I realize it's silly. I realize it's superstitious.
Okay.
I just don't like to say the words.
Okay.
However, and I've started getting a little bit of fights about this, broadcasters are allowed to say it as early as they want.
Yeah.
Because they have to build the moment.
You have to inform people.
I saw legit people on Twitter mad that Jake Eisenberg in the 5th and 6th innings said the Royals had a perfect game going when they left the half inning.
You need to know what's going on.
I name shall not be named, but I was doing an event for a university calling one of their baseball games, and a no-hitter was underway into I believe the 9th. I believe it went into the 9th. And I avoided saying anything for a while because the people were wanting me to, and I was being very polite. But then I began saying things and she got broken up, and I then stated my point of I had to say something.
No.
Yeah, broadcasters are always allowed to say
anybody's
you
allowed
have
to
to build
something.
the moment.
Anybody can.
That's your superstitions on somebody else. I'll add that.
You saying that the Royals have a perfect game going and they end up giving up a hit is not the reason why the Royals gave up a hit.
No, they're going to give up a hit no matter what.
The Royals gave up a hit because Matt Cotrero did not pull.
We're not getting into this again. We're not getting into this. We're not doing it.
Still mad.
I'm not engaging with this. I'm actively saying we're moving on.
I am
steering the direction.
So
we are moving on. I am not letting you do this. We're moving past
that.
This.
Was the one of the easiest decisions.
Jake, we're moving past this. We're moving past it. I wish I could say we're moving on to something more fun, but they lost 2-1 yesterday and it sucked. It was really annoying. Zach Greinke was good.
Zach Greinke was very good.
5 shutout innings. A little frustrating that he can't go more than 5 anymore, but I get it.
I think. Hold on a second. Greinke. I think Greinke. How many wins does he got right now in his career?
I could not tell you off the top of my head.
224.
Yeah.
Okay. Greinke has played with the Royals for 9 years.
Yeah.
If Greinke played with any other franchise for those 9 years and still pitched the way he did, I think Greinke probably would be at close to 260 wins.
Yeah. Possibly. He's been 65. He's been 65 and 81 with the Royals.
Mm-hmm. With a 3.82 ERA.
Yeah, because like last year he was 4-9. Zach Greinke should have had 10 wins last year.
Yeah.
And I maybe say that as the man who played Zach Greinke over 8.5 wins.
So
and was so irate.
He had 5 wins. Let's say he should have had, well, let's be conservative and say 4 wins every year for the 9 years he should have had that he didn't get.
So that would be 4 times 9, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 36.
36 wins.
So he had 36 wins to 224.
That's 260.
Yeah, you bet 260 wins.
He'd had 260 wins. And if you're at 260 wins, plus this year, if he wasn't
Keep
with
the horses
Royals,
going, a couple more years, he could flirt.
It'd be at 270. And that's like being generous.
Yeah, no, that truly is. Because, let's remember that there was, like 2007, he went 7-7, but he was working as a reliever.
Yeah.
For majority of that year. Like, what if in 2007 he was a starter that entire year?
Yeah.
How many more wins would he have had? And, even his Cy Young year, he was 16-8. God, he was so good that year.
Yeah.
But there's other things, where things can change and yada, yada, yada. So the bigger thing is I think he might get to 3,000 strikeouts.
He's 71. Pacing. He needs 71.
I believe if I've done the math right, he's pacing to get to 3,000. If he makes every start this season.
Yeah.
And can keep up the way he's been playing.
Well, he's at 47 strikeouts through 62 innings.
Yeah.
If he pitches 100 more innings.
Which roughly he'd be on pace to about 100 more innings. He'd pitch about 116 innings this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd get 3,000.
It's going to be close.
It's going to be down to the wire.
Yep. Coming up, we'll finish things off with the mic drop. Finishing things off with the mic drop. What do you got?
Can't believe I have to do this for 2 days in a row. But Eli Drinkowitz, stop telling players how to spend their money. You absolute dork and loser. Let them earn what they want to earn and let them spend how they want to spend it. Stop trying to control what they do. You absolute loser.
Nigeri Kennedy is the best freshman in college softball. She won the softball player or freshman of the year. She's going to take on Oklahoma tomorrow at 1:30. Oklahoma might be the best team ever assembled in softball. It'll be fantastic to see how she does. She's been so good. Kudos to her. That is an awesome, awesome story. Coming up, we got 580 Sports Talk. We'll talk to you tomorrow at noon.